Don't use property sources. Okay, maybe that's a little bit too harsh on property sources, but here's why you need to be really, really cautious about who you use and how you use them. Now, as you know, I'm a mortgage broker, and actually a lot of mortgage lenders are not keen on you using a property sourcer to find you a property. In fact, go back a couple of years and I actually had to spend nearly a week explaining to an underwriter at a mortgage lender what a property sourcer actually is. Trust me, that was a really, really difficult time in my life. And just as a heads up, if you don't know what a property sourcer is, they are somebody that will go out into the market and find you property deals so that you don't have to basically do a ton of property viewings yourself. I'm actually personally a massive fan of property sourcers, well, good ones anyway, and I tell my clients all the time, if you're as a property investor, you need to be the conductor of the orchestra. The conductor doesn't need to know how to play the trumpet, but they need to know how to direct everyone. And that would include your power team of broker, accountant, builder, but it should also, and I think it could also, include a property sourcer, somebody that actually can take the time off your hands going on 100 viewings every single month and going out and actually helping you find the perfect deal whilst you are busy doing other things. In fact, over the years, I've had so many of my clients come to me with deals that have been found by property sourcers, and the fact that they can show me all of the figures really, really quickly allows us to do a really quick bit of deal analysis and actually gets us to the point where we can work out what kind of finance we're going to be using a lot quicker. So thanks, deal sourcers. We really appreciate you putting in that hard work and getting all the figures together. So why did I kick off this video by saying don't use property sourcers? Well, maybe that was a little bit clickbaity, and I apologize for that, but there was a really good reason for that, I assure you. So I'm not saying don't use property sources, I'm saying we need to be wary, and there's a really good reason why, which I'm going to share with you. But before I do, if you haven't already, please consider subscribing to my channel and clicking on the like button. It tells YouTube that I'm doing a good job and helps me reach more people. I actually upload at least 1 or 2 videos, sometimes even 3 videos each week onto my channel. And if you find videos like this really helpful, chances are there's going to be something else there that you're going to like as well. So let's get back into it. Why should you be really cautious about using a deal sourcer when I've basically just spent about 2 or 3 minutes telling you all the reasons why you should use a deal sourcer? Well, it comes down to mortgage lenders. Of course it does. I constantly say to people that property investors are some of the most creative people in the world, yet unfortunately, mortgage lenders do not always follow suit. So the reason why I'm putting together this video is because I've seen on so many occasions my clients using property sources and us coming up against problems with lenders. And don't be fooled, this is not just with purchases, but actually refinances after the property has been purchased with cash or bridging or even another mortgage to start with whilst using a property sourcer. And this is because mortgage lenders are very interested about how a property was actually purchased, because it could potentially have an impact on their loan. So first of all, I'm going to share with you an example as to why mortgage lenders may have an issue with the fact that you're buying a property using a property sourcer. But stick around, because after that, I'm then going to talk about how you can possibly do a couple of things to mitigate this issue. Now, you might have often heard mortgage lenders refer to the property that they are raising the mortgage against as their security. And that word is very, very important, because it is the security that makes the loan relevant. Basically, lenders are always concerned with any risk to their security, and how a property is purchased could actually represent a risk that you may not have even thought about. Now, the most incredible risk, or the top level risk that they're going to come across, is that that security is no longer there. And stay with me, because this actually is going to make a lot more sense when I share this story with you. Just as a heads up, guys, this is a hypothetical story. This isn't actually something that happened to my client, but this is certainly something that definitely could happen, and you need to be really, really, really aware of it. So this is all about buying a property below market value. So lenders are always going to ask, how did you get to the point where you were able to purchase this property below market value? Now, there are a number of reasons why you'd actually be buying the property below market value. The property might be in need of a massive renovation, and so there aren't a lot of buyers out there. Perhaps it's actually unmortgageable, and so there's not people queuing up at the door to purchase the property. Maybe the vendor just needs a quick sale because they're moving abroad or something like that. there are a ton of really perfectly good and legitimate reasons. However, in the past, there have been numerous stories of people being bullied into selling properties below the actual market value. And what lenders potentially think is that property sources, as they're doing this en masse and they are putting in so many offers, that this could be something that they maybe do. And there's very little way of them finding out whether this was the case or not. This isn't necessarily mortgage lenders not trusting people. It's just that they will always look at the downside risk. And the downside risk here is that a property sourcer bullied a vendor into a below market sale that they then passed on to you. So in this story, the vendor is selling the property via the property sourcer to you, which brings us to another piece of terminology that many of you are going to be very well aware of, which is direct to vendor. So here is another situation that causes mortgage lenders to have heart palpitations. As you can see here, lenders are going to be quite nervous about the fact that firstly, there's a third party negotiating this sale for you, that you are basically at arm's length. That person is direct to the vendor and having direct discussions with this, which potentially gives rise more and more to, if that vendor is vulnerable, then being taken advantage of. So basically, there is no mediator. There is no estate agent here, okay? So we've got two things, both the direct to vendor and the fact that there's a third party negotiating the sale, that is going to concern a lender that perhaps this sale has not gone exactly how a standard sale would go. But you're probably thinking, Sam, okay, this is all lovely and all, and we really enjoy you telling us this story, but how does this actually hinder us getting a mortgage? Well, as I said previously, it's all about looking at the downside risk. And for a lender, downside risk means potentially losing the security. So what in this scenario could end up meaning that we lose the security? Well, let's imagine that we fast forward the story a couple of years and actually the vendor has thought back and actually realized, actually, no, that sale wasn't kosher. I'm not happy with this. In fact, I believed I was coerced into selling this property below market value. I'm going to speak to my lawyer. Well, you might be thinking, well, the deal's kind of done now. The paperwork's signed, solicitors have been involved. What could happen now? Well, actually, a lot can happen now. If the solicitor that the vendor's gone to see believes that there is grounds for an unfair purchase, they can actually take the seller to court and effectively try and unwind this purchase. What this essentially means is we have to click the rewind button on this and the purchase kind of becomes unpurchased. The sale is reversed. And what happens then? The security is lost. There is still a loan outstanding on this property that you, as the purchaser, is liable for, but because something has now come up in court that suggests that the property sourcer did not follow proper protocol during the course of the sale, actually what's happened is the property's been given back to the vendor and you're left with a loan with no security and a lender that's going to be pretty pissed off. Okay, so this is actually pretty unlikely to happen, but it's a good story to show you an example of why mortgage lenders are just a little bit concerned when a standard sale, i.e. via an estate agent, doesn't occur. There are some dangers to them that they may lose their security further down the line, which is basically why they don't really like it when people purchase properties through property sources who they can't regulate. Okay, so I've now probably concerned the hell out of you. Now's the part in the video where I'm going to show you what you can do to try and mitigate this risk. So for me, it's all about being mega transparent and super organized. So if you are purchasing a property via a property sourcer, make sure you do your due diligence. I would probably say that at least 80% of the property sources that I have come into contact with over the years have been amazing, okay? These people are consummate professionals and they really do know their stuff when it comes to property. But when you're doing your due diligence, make sure they've got the correct PI cover in place, make sure they've got the right registrations in place, make sure they are who they say they are, they're reputable, and they've been doing what they've been doing for a reasonable amount of time. Also, when you're speaking to a property sourcer for the first time and they put a deal in front of you, actually do your due diligence on the situation of the vendor themselves. So don't just be looking at the figures. You need to actually discover why this person is selling the property at the price in which the sourcer is putting it in front of you, or the price that they've negotiated. If there doesn't seem to be any kind of circumstances that would warrant them wanting to sell the property below what the standard market value is, There's probably two reasons for that. One, it's not actually below market value. So do your due diligence to make sure that the price that has been negotiated actually is below market value. Or potentially there is some sort of sinister reason as to why they are selling below market value, and it could well be something to do with the sourcer themselves, hence the story earlier on. When you do start discussions with the property sourcer as well, ask them if they can actually give you access to the vendor to speak to them yourselves. There should be nothing wrong in doing that. Ultimately, you are the one buying the property from them, and plenty of estate agents will allow that situation to happen as well. So why shouldn't a property sourcer? Be sure to document every single part of that process and back this up by speaking to your solicitor and ensuring that they have done all the due diligence on the sale as well. That way, if you are following a buy, refurbish, refinance strategy, for example, and you're using bridging or cash to purchase the property, where perhaps, especially if you're buying cash, there isn't going to be those kind of checks. When you come to refinance, you have all the information in place to show a prospective lender exactly how the property was purchased, and that you can give them a load of comfort that actually it was done all above board. Now, some lenders, I have to admit, are much more strict on this kind of thing than others. So it's also really important that you speak to a broker that has access to the whole of the market, that understands these types of lenders, the buy-to-let lenders, the specialist lenders, so that you can actually find out as well if this is going to cause a problem before you even apply for a mortgage. Of course, I'm always happy to help on that front, but this isn't a sales video. So there you have it, guys. I really do honestly believe that most property sources out there would not do anything like what I've spoken about in this video, but that doesn't stop mortgage lenders thinking it. So all we need to do is A, pick the right lender, and B, ensure that we have a lot of information to provide them with to show them that the sale is all above board and you should be absolutely fine. But I wouldn't be doing my job properly if I didn't let you guys know that this is causing a little bit of a problem in the market as property sources become more and more the norm. So thanks for watching today, guys. If you have got any concerns or questions or anything you want to raise regarding anything that I've spoken about in this video, please feel free to use the comments and I'll come back to every single one of you. Again, don't forget, if you haven't subscribed to my channel already, I am putting out 1 to 3 videos every single week covering all aspects of property, finance, business, investment, etc. So I'm sure that of the nearly 200 videos that I've already put out, there's going to be loads in there that you're going to find interesting. And stick around just for a couple more seconds because YouTube is about to recommend you a couple more videos that they think that you're going to be interested in. Thanks for watching, guys. See you next time.